Welcome to The Explainer. In this analysis, we're distilling the key ideas from a single, pretty controversial source that offers a very specific playbook for female seduction within a marriage. So let's just start with that question. It's pretty provocative, right? This is the central idea from a YouTube video by a guy named Coach to Bruins. He lays out a really specific and, controversial perspective on marital intimacy and a wife's role in it. So let's dive in and explore the argument, starting with his core premise. Okay, first up, this idea of a shared responsibility. The source really kicks things off by establishing who is actually on the hook for intimacy in a marriage. According to the coach, pointing fingers is just unproductive. The video argues that whether a relationship stays sexually exciting is on both the man and the woman. So the really crucial point he makes is any change you want to see has to start with you, not with trying to control your partner. So with that foundation of shared responsibility in place, the video then zooms in on what it sees as a central problem in a lot of relationships, focusing specifically on the kind of complaints women make about sex. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The source presents what it frames as a core contradiction. You've got complaint A, he wants sex too much, and complaint B, he doesn't want it at all. The video's conclusion from this is that there will always be something to complain about. And that generalization right there becomes the foundation for the video's entire argument. It's used to make the case that women should just fundamentally shift their perspective, especially if they have a husband with a high libido. Okay, so if that's the premise, what's the solution? Well, the source then offers a step-by-step guide, and it's aimed specifically at wives, particularly those in more conservative cultures, on how to become more adventurous in the bedroom. The coach uses this incredibly stark imagery to argue that just passively participating isn't just unfulfilling for the woman, but it's actually deeply unsatisfying for the husband. The argument is that this passive style is not what he truly wants or enjoys at all. And here it is, the 4-step playbook. The process starts with, quote, starting shy, playing the part of the inexperienced good girl. Next, the advice is to use the internet, do some research, learn some new ideas. The third step, and this is a big one, is to openly share what you're learning with your husband. And finally, the playbook says to introduce these new things gradually, to avoid, and these are the source's words, seeming like a loose woman. Okay, so why go through all this effort? The source frames the why around 2 key concepts. One is external competition, and the other is internal male psychology. The source is super direct here. It basically says that married men are attractive targets for single women, which immediately puts a wife in direct competition. And who exactly is this competition? Well, according to the source, it's single women, women who have more time, don't have kids, go to the gym, and dress to the nines, all in an effort to, as the source claims, successfully seduce your husband. But the argument goes deeper than just competition from the outside. The coach also describes what he sees as this fundamental conflict happening inside the male psyche itself. So here's the crucial point on this slide, this alleged contradiction. On one hand, men want to marry the virgin, the good girl. But on the other hand, their fantasy is supposedly the loose woman, the one with a ton of experience. The video argues a wife's role then is to learn how to be both of these women, but exclusively for her husband and only in private. This line of reasoning, as you might guess, leads to a very, very stark reframing of the entire marital relationship. The coach claims that once a wife has the stability, the house, the kids, everything she wanted from the relationship, she then, in his view, selfishly withholds the one thing the husband wanted most, which is sex. And this brings us to the bottom line, according to the source. It explicitly defines marriage as a transaction, where a key part of the wife's obligation is providing sex completely on the husband's terms. And in a final section, the whole argument gets elevated. It moves beyond personal satisfaction and gets reframed as a matter of moral preservation. The coach concludes that the ultimate goal of all this work isn't just about personal pleasure. No, it's about fighting what he sees as rising immorality in society. And with that final thought from the source, the argument is complete. The idea presented is that good sex within marriage is a tool to stop immorality in its tracks, framing it not just as a preference, but as a sacred duty. Definitely a provocative idea to end on.